Hi, welcome everybody. Happy New Year, please. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Director Thomas,
I'm here.
Director Davidson,
I'm here as well. Item number 2 on the agenda is public comment. Limited to 3 minutes per person. Is there any public comment here today? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes of November 4th.
Move for approval.
I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Move on to new business 4A, CUSD sewer main line update.
Hi, good afternoon. So I was here to talk about the Jenny Lind Elementary School wastewater project. And then we have a couple representatives, Noreen and Matt from Calaveras School District, to kind of talk about the status of the project. But as you recall, I think this project's been in the works for a number of years now. And they're getting close to getting to construction. So the project removes the on-site wastewater treatment plants or treatment system that's at the Jenny Lind Elementary School, and it conveys the sewage to the lock antenna system through a force main. It's going to construct 2 new lift stations. There's going to be a lift station at the school, and then there's going to be an intermediate lift station on Silver Rapids. So the force main kind of extends along Driver Road, then it goes under State Route 26, and a short section of Baldwin, up Berkesys, Silver Rapids, and then Vista del Lago. And they'll eventually either tie into our existing system or tie into the LGI lift station that they're building at the North Vista Plaza. The infrastructure provides a regional benefit. So people will be able to connect along the alignment, and then we'll also be able to connect at the intermediate lift station in Silver Rapids. So LAFCO's sphere of influence was updated. So this allows us to take ownership of the force main alignment once it's complete. So existing homes along the alignment that already have a septic system won't be required to connect. So the county environmental health, they are the ones that administer the on-site septic system. So any property that has within 200 feet of our service is not eligible for an on-site septic system. So therefore, they would have to connect to us. That's for new construction only. So the project's funded 100% through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Kevin, could you repeat what you said about within how many feet?
So there's rules and regulations for the county. Environmental health is nobody's allowed to have a septic system if there's a sewer delivery system within 200 feet of any part of the property. So we did when we did the LAFCO adjustment. We went out 200 feet, all properties that are within 200 feet of the force main, and that's how we established the sphere of influence. So CCWD will be reimbursed for our construction oversight and coordination costs. So we've put a copy of the MOU in the packet, and we'll bring that to the board. Upon completion of this project, the facilities will be transferred to CCWD for the long-term ownership maintenance. So you guys like to come up and kind of give us an update on the construction bid and the process and when we think the project is going to kick off.
Yep. Good afternoon, Matt Ospital with WGA. I've been involved in this project from, it's been 8-10 years. We started with the planning grant for Tualatin Middle School and Jenny Elementary School, and with the hopes of both schools have their own wastewater treatment plant, and school's not in the wastewater business, so like let's figure out a way to eliminate these plants. The school district was paying a grade 3 or grade 4 operator, I believe, to grade 3 hired to run these plants, and it was just not in their wheelhouse. So we were successful in getting the planning grant. for Toyon. We just completed that construction in Toyon. We got that down to a grade 1 plant, sand filter, and got that all in the works. And so now the second one is the Jenny Lynn project. And with the hope was to basically the school could flush and walk away. We don't have to treat this stuff anymore. So we've been working with you guys and finally got it approved. And we went out to bid in last fall and we were short $7 million. So we went back to the state and sounds promising, but we're waiting for the FBA amendment to go through to get another $7 million for $15 million project. There's going to be some improvements on the school grounds. We're going to demo the old plant, run the new force main, and then the 2 new lift stations. Kevin
What's
mentioned.
going to happen with the athletic field?
They're going to go back to potable water.
Served by us?
Yes.
It's going to be expensive. I'm just curious about that. I mean, I hate to see them go. I actually helped build those years ago.
Yeah.
Got them, got the contractor in there to do that. So, well, I'm glad to hear that they're doing that, but I don't know if there's anything that we can do in regards to that.
Well, like make sure they get water, saying?
Oh, I
Does
mean,
it dry up?
Do they have the infrastructure there now? I mean, is it that part of?
Oh, okay, so it already has the ability to use potable water. Okay, we'll take a look, but we haven't.
I mean, I don't know if we could do some wholesale thing or, you know,
Probably
That
not
would
for
be
treated water, but we'll take a look.
Yeah.
give it a shot, see if we can do
They could plant some plants. Ag.
it. Yeah, no,
There's a lot of grass there. That's-
yeah.
You can-
I just really was, that's why I've been really concerned that that's gonna go away, so I'm glad to hear that.
can buy it by the acre foot instead of the gallon.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, you have any questions?
So I think lastly, just I forgot one thing. So as Kevin mentioned, the MOU is going to come back to you guys, to the board to approve. Not sure when that is, but got to get that back to the state.
I don't know why I thought a while back this was like a $5 million project, but you're making,
Keeps going up.
It was, well, it was even less than that originally, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
yeah. So in the time frame, in the few years that we've been looking at this, it's almost tripled.
Well, it's been, as Matt said, I think it's,
Quite a
yeah,
while.
at least 10 years. Maybe 2018 was the MOU. So- Yeah.
Mm. All right, well, let's not delay it any longer.
I do have a question from Kevin. Kevin, I heard you mention that this, the routing of this pipeline would ultimately get to the lift station. I think I heard you say at North Vista Plaza. How about the timing?
There's 2 alternatives in there. They have a bid additive alternative in their bid that has them upsizing a section of the main at the La Cantera Golf Course, or right
Mhm.
behind the pizza place there. But that's not the preferred alternative for the district, because it goes through backyards and it's
Mm.
difficult access. So the preferred alternative is that they use that additive bid item money to connect to a new lift station that LGI is going to build. And so we got the 100% designs from LGI for that facility. Not quite sure how the construction is going to go with the construction of this, but we're hoping that they kind of happen at the same time and we can make a fluid kind of one project out of it, connect in there.
Seems like that's on track to happen in that sequence. We've been working with both groups on that.
Okay. I
So
hope-
yeah, they can delete that item out of their bid because it was an additive item that they got a separate price for. So hopefully that we'll have some flexibility with the water board to use that money to extend it to the lift station.
All right. So what do you need from us? Anything? Just a recommendation for the board?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this project recently. So we wanted to kind of bring it to the board and kind of with the recent LAFCO adjustments and stuff, people kind of were curious about this project, and we wanted to make it clear that this project is 100% grant funded. It's not a CCWD project, so it's not coming out of ratepayers funds. And so that's kind of where we're.
Yeah, there was some social media nonsense about it. So maybe we should try to get a press release or something ready to roll.
Yeah, and just grateful to Noreen and Matt. Thank you guys for being here and for, I think this partnership has been really good, especially over the last year. And, I am excited to hear when the water board gets back to you, and with that approved funding, we'll be ready to go.
All right. So recommended?
Yes.
A couple of questions online.
Oh, are
and
there
public
any
comment.
public comment? There's one up there. Pat? Patrick?
Yeah, good afternoon. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
Francisco,
Hello?
you with us?
Yes, I'm
I'm
with
with you.
Is that F? Is that, I don't know who that is.
That's me.
This is Pat here. Are you hearing me? Ah, crap.
Looks like they're talking. Do we have the volume on?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
that's going to be loud.
We can't hear you, so I don't know if there's something on our end or.
We're hearing it
Well-
on the meeting.
Everything I have is turned on, so I don't understand what's going on.
Gentlemen, this is Rebecca. I do hear you. I'm online as well, so I'll see what's going on with the boardroom.
Give us a
Thank
second,
you.
guys. We'll try to get. Ralph, is yours working?
Nope.
And I heard that Michael Rogers is having
Hello?
audio
Hello?
issues as well. Hello?
Am I there?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, this is
I hear
Mike.
you.
I jumped off.
Back in.
I jumped off
Am I
the-
audible yet?
Ah, there we go.
Who do we
Okay.
got?
This is Pat speaking.
Who?
Pat Roy.
Pat Roy.
Okay, so I presume I'm now audible.
Yes.
So good afternoon, but I have some questions regarding for speakers' comments or delivery. The proposal for the sewer extension references that existing septic customers or septic users will not have to connect to the new trunk line. However, the county code contradicts that. So there's some legal ambiguity there that could end up in quite a bit of a lawsuit. And I would project that the various homeowners associations would come together to join into something like that. So is there going to be any kind of language included in this statement of exclusion for existing septic users that grants them this exclusion in perpetuity? And secondly, would such exclusion be available to new owners of the property upon title transfer? So, we say one thing with one breath, but another in another breath. So people have no assurances that what's being transmitted here in this today's meeting is at all factual. It may not be possible at all. We need to know the truth. So what's it going to be? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I can respond really quickly. There's no requirement that we force existing homeowners to connect to this force main, and that's not part of this project.
The county code specifically states those residences or properties within 200 feet of the sewer trunk line must connect. So there's contradiction there between the
They won't-
language.
From what I understand, they won't issue new permits.
Right. So for new homes
New
within
permits,
that
they can't, they have to.
space, they will.
Your understanding and legal language specifically stating that in any contractual proceedings are two very different things.
So the legal language says an OWTS permit shall not be issued if a wastewater delivery system is within 200 feet distance from the residence. So they're not going to issue a new permit, but if you already have a permit, you can reach out to the county, but that's our understanding that they won't issue new permits.
So it
So,
doesn't apply to existing homes. That code is for a new permit. It's not for existing homes that have a finalized septic system.
Well, I've
But
seen too many.
but I agree, we'll try to nail it down. We'll put that exact language, make sure we put the exact language in whatever we put forward.
It's fair enough. I think the population of West County or Division 5 deserves such assurances and clear language. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Francisco?
You're on mute, Francisco.
How about now?
Yeah,
ahead.
you're good.
Okay, so the term referred to CCWD, if it's a new development, that means that they will be referred to the 22,000 or so connection requirement, since it's a new permit.
Yeah, so if somebody pulls a new building permit, they, just like anywhere else where you're within a service area for water or sewer, the county refers you to the water district for cost to serve and a will serve. And so if there's an issue why we can't serve you, we'll just say we can't serve you. If it's possible to serve you, then we'll give you a will serve and a cost to connect.
Okay, well, we're trying to make all of these nonsense social postings be true and reliable. So pardon us if we are asking for clarification when something doesn't make complete sense from its first read.
Yeah, no problem.
And Ralph.
Thank you.
Okay, Ralph, you were up there a little while ago. You still want to talk?
Yes, good afternoon. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New
Just
Year.
to know, I was an alternate at LAFCO, and they did not want to discuss or discuss anything about the sphere of influence. So it was pushed right through. John Benoit definitely stonewalled it. The current property owners were not notified by LAFCO about this sphere of influence. And if they were, it would probably help again with the social media questions. And getting to the, if we're talking about the connection to the new sewer system, that number 22,861, I sure would like to see that broken down.
So that's a separate agenda item, and we're actually going to pull that agenda item for today anyways. We have some more work to do on that.
Oh, very good.
I just, any other public comment? I just want to, that is in my neighborhood. I mean, I've lived there in that area for a long time. Berkesee, for the most part, is heavily in flood zone, and many of those vacant lots won't be buildable without connecting up to the sewer system. I mean, the Indian Creek runs through there. There's some definite limitations on those properties that should be lifted with the ability to hook up to a sewer system. So it's going to give the property owners, better chance of having a buildable lot if they can hook up to us. So I think for the majority of the vacant property owners, should be happy about that. So I mean, it's a good area. It's close to the school. It's a place that should develop, and it has, it's been subdivided. That's what its intended use is. So hopefully this will help a little bit, and it adds every little bit helps with our economy of scale. More customers is what we need. So I'm enthusiastically supportive of this, and yeah, we do want to make it clear to everybody that that existing homes are not going to be required to do anything different. I mean, we can't say what the legislature is going to do in the future. The legislature might do something, but we're not going to do it. So we need to make that as clear as possible.
If I can just kind of validate what you're saying, Jeff, you have lived there, and back when I was representing that area on the Board of Supervisors, I often wondered about, why there aren't more houses built along Indian Creek there. And then there's simply a lot of the footprints of those lots. Currently, they cannot have a house and a septic system on that lot. This could open up what I think could be a lot of some great potential. So it's a wonderful neighborhood, and proximity to the school is great too. So
Did you have public comment?
I think that ought to be heavily publicized, because.
you
it's
couldn't hear
not
me?
Clear. Yes, we heard you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to echo that and more kudos to the school district because they had to get really creative and really work hard to pursue this funding. And I think it's just a great project all the way around. So appreciate that.
If they'd only moved the school a little closer to the people, back when they built it. But anyway, all right. Anything else on that matter?
Yeah, Pat again.
Another bite of the apple.
Jeff mentioned economy of scale. I'd like to mention that usually as scale increases, cost decreases, which doesn't seem to be the case in this area. But you also brought up that it's a major flood control zone. And how would a sewer line in this location impact that flood control situation? Because the water that floods there, I presume, would be well in excess of what a standard sewer line would be able to handle, and what our current facilities for the foreseeable future could handle.
Pat, you're not understanding. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. You also brought up properties that can't be developed, and I understand that as well.
This is a pressurized system. So all the customers are gonna have grinder pumps and they'll pump into pressure main. So you won't have any I&I or infiltration of the system. So that's why there's no gravity mains where water can get in. So it's all pressurized.
Well, we have I&I now.
It's
So,
unrelated. All right, we're going forward.
Okay, I'll let it go for, I just have one more question. Jeff, how many of those unimproved properties do you personally own?
0.
Thank you. That is reassuring. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Wonder if you want to buy some?
Okay, thank you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, we're gonna table lock and tenant capacity fee study update. We'll bring that after a little more work. We're gonna move on to Valley Springs Regional Wastewater Project.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, members. My name is Juan. I'm associate engineer here at the district. So the Valley Springs Regional Wastewater Project is anticipated. I'm going to start all over. The Valley Springs Regional Wastewater Project is a coordinated effort between CCWD and BSPUD to improve long-term wastewater service for the Valley Springs community. The project will convey BSPUD wastewater flows to La Contenta wastewater treatment plant. These flows will be routed through the Huckleberry lift station, with is expected to have available capacities following completion of the wastewater phase 3 expansion and the lift station improvements at the Huckleberry. This regional solution provides a long-term solution for BSPUD capacity and compliance challenges, and positions both agencies to pursue grant funding available for disadvantaged communities. Staff are pursuing grant funding through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund program, and have initiated the project coordinations and general information package phase required for the State Revolving Fund application. The project kickoff meeting was recently held, and Head of Science, PUD, and district staff were there. Work is underway to evaluate time locations, identify required improvements, and compile supporting documentations for the application. Environmental studies for the Huckleberry extension are complete, and La Contenta wastewater treatment plant environmental documentations are being prepared by E-Corp consulting. And this is with hopes that the grant submittal is going to be around May of this year.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Well, it seems like that the kickoff meeting is kind of odd nomenclature. This is, the kickoff was just to simply begin to plan the potential application for funding.
Correct. Yeah, it's a preliminary get together just to see where we stand and
This-
where connection points.
This doesn't commit anybody to doing anything at this time.
At this time, no.
Right. Okay.
Good
Are there
project.
any other questions? Any other comments? Russ?
No, I just think it's a
Any
good
public comment?
project.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on.
Yep.
Thank you. 4D Wallace CIP and Sawmill project update.
Good afternoon, Chase King, civil engineer, CCWD. So we're here to discuss potentially awarding the construction contract to Moyle Excavation for the replacement of the Wallace and Sawmill tank. Just as a recap, we have well-distilled tanks that have reached the end of useful lives. They need replacing. We're looking at replacing those with glass line bolted steel tanks. The Wallace tank is going to be replaced with a like-size tank, as well as replace the existing piping conduit and conduit, and as well as installing a tape mixer for both sites. The Sawmill site will be replacing a 3 million gallon tank with two 500,000 gallon tanks to more correctly match the volume of water that's needed for the area, and then also reduce the water age that we are currently experiencing in a 3 million gallon tank. Part of that project, we're going to have to build up a tank pad, given it's at the top of a hill. Not included, this is not part of the contract award for the construction contractor, but we are currently in the process of obtaining a parcel of land from Sierra Pacific Industries to allow us to build that extra pad, since it does exceed the footprint of the existing CCWD parcel. The parcel is only sized essentially for the 3 million gallon tank and not enough room for replacing it without dismantling it first, but we don't have the ability to turn that down. Anyways,
Well, hopefully they're bringing, they're going to make us a good offer on that,
yeah, we've actually been in discussion, and I will be reaching out to them here in the coming days, this afternoon, if not tomorrow, with the proposed lot line adjustment and contract.
okay. I'd like to be a fly on that wall. I mean, I just feel like that's something that Sierra Pacific should try to help us out with.
Yeah, we started out with an easement, but then we had to increase that area. They recommended, or requested rather, that they prefer a lot line adjustment.
Okay, thanks.
So, sorry, I digress. So we're here today actually to discuss the award of contract from Moyle. So we had a bid opening that took place on December 3rd. We received 8 bids, and they submitted a low bid of $5,639,544, which did exceed our engineer's estimate of $4,048,000. Upon further review, we did find some items of work missing from the consulting engineer's estimate. Once we did look at it further and break down what those extra items were to cost, we found that the bid was fair and competitive. And you would see with the remaining 7 bidders that cost it's when that makes sense. It's fair and reasonable. And we're lucky to have a contractor who's willing to submit a bid that's in the area. So Moyle is currently located in Jamestown, so that's quite convenient for us. Not all of these contractors are so closely located. So for the financial considerations, both the Wallace tank and Sawmill tank are funded by through loan. Given that these do exceed the budgeted amount, we will have to allocate additional funds in the upcoming CIP review. So with that, I did touch on it already. We find that Moyle is the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, and we do recommend awarding them the contract. And request that you recommend the award of the contract, and would like to bring this to the full board at the January 14th meeting, which is tomorrow. Partly reason why we're following day is we do have some bid items that we expect some considerable lead times. We'd like to get those going.
I can't remember the last time that we had projects. We've got two of them in our packet today where we have 8 or 9 bidders. Usually, most usually we have, Kevin, what, 4 max? That's encouraging. And looking at these bids, I mean, we have a very good low bid there, but all of the others, they're obviously bidding the same set of plans. They're within very, very close tolerances. That's, you see that? It's very amazing.
It's AI, man. That's how it goes.
You want to explain that? Yeah, I read over Moyle's qualifications and similar contracts, and I think we've hit a home run on this one. That's good.
I have one question on the Wallace tank. Did we look at, are there any developments planned in the Wallace area? Did we take that into account? I mean, it's something, it's always important to me that we don't build something that's gonna be too small in 10 years. You know, if we have the means to do it, right?
Yeah, I think it'll meet the demand for the, whatever, there's like 30 units there that was planned. And so I think we're good on that front. We have 2 tanks there. We have the elevated tank and the ground tank.
Okay.
There's other reasons for making the tank the size it is, it's not to increase development or anything like that. It's to be able to have enough fluctuation, enough storage for fire flow, because what's driving is that we're on groundwater wells, so we need to make sure we have enough storage because those wells don't produce very many gallons per minute. So we need to have a tank that's size adequate for fire flow. So that's the reason for the tank size, not for development. But yes, the tank is adequate size for.
Do we have the same issues with the storage of the age of the water in our groundwater as we do in our?
So it's a groundwater well, so the requirements are different on testing and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm not aware of any issues in Wallace, except for there's some question on the quality of the groundwater. So it hasn't been a problem so far, but there's some other wells available in the area that have proved to not be as great as the ones we're using now. So could be a long-term reliability issue with the water supply there, but we're looking at other alternatives.
Kevin?
Water quality issues that we struggle with, like disinfection byproducts, the constituents generally aren't found in the groundwater.
Okay.
They come out of the surface water supply. Kevin referred to the quality of the groundwater in Wallace is somewhat challenging because there are high levels of manganese. So the treatment process has a green sand filter, which addresses the manganese in the raw supply, but the disinfection byproduct concern is not there.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, anything else from us? Public comment? Francisco, you want to go?
Just a real quick comment. When you look at all of these bids, do you break out the actual shoving in the ground, work with physical objects to build infrastructure costs versus all of the office and administrivia that goes on to make all that stuff happen? Do we have a sense for that?
So if I understood your question correctly, when we are reviewing these bids, when they're submitted, we do have a pretty thorough breakdown of each individual item, not just a bid item, but individual items within that bid item of what that may cost, both labor and materials.
Well, that's not exactly my question. I understand you would have labor and materials, but I'm describing the office work, the overhead, the administration versus the actual crews going out there, putting pipe in the ground, doing wells, turning bolts, digging dirt, that kind of cost.
So this project we have an engineering service during construction contract with our designer. They'll do any like design changes that we need or RFI responses, submittal responses. That's a fixed fee that we get from them, and that was at the original bid time or the original proposal time. And then as far as overhead, we run pretty lean here. I mean, Chase is going to be our project manager. We got on-staff inspectors, so I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but they all bill their time to the project when they work on it.
Yeah, Kev, I guess what I'm saying is if you were to do a pie chart of total project expenses and you would list out all the stuff that goes on the ground, in the ground, et cetera, to deliver the service, versus all the paperwork, whether it's the design, the project tracking, all of that, the administrivia. That's what I'm trying to get an idea of.
Yes, yes. So we have our project manager that kind of works with on this particular project. Some projects we design in-house, but this project was designed by a consultant, and they have an environmental consultant that works with them on the permitting process. This was a CEQA exempt, so the environmental permitting costs were very low. The design cost is just for engineering that they designed the project. So they gave us a price for that. We brought that proposal to the board for a public meeting for approval. And then as far as our project time, Chase's time split between 4 or 5 different projects that he's working on. And so that project's separated, and then I have some oversight time, and then we have full-time inspection staff. So they're charging the project just for their time. So I'm not sure what administrative costs you're talking about. They're all kind of direct costs.
Well, I just separate them out from actual physical construction versus office work, and trying to get an idea if we're spending 50% of the stuff in the office and 50% actually putting stuff up, or is it closer to 15% or 10% of administration? That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, it's closer to 15% on these kind of projects. These don't. These are kind of the bank replacements are kind of our bread and butter. It doesn't take a lot of.
Usually when we're dealing with, grant funding where we have, certain reporting requirements and all that, that's what really drives that up. But this, we don't report to anybody in regards to this project, right?
Correct.
But when we're doing, particularly like federal grant funded projects, that number definitely goes up. And it's just compliance, it's compliant regulation.
I appreciate the differentiation, and I can certainly see that when you have a bunch of people looking over your shoulders and you got to answer to them, it's going to drive your costs up. I'm just trying to get a sense of the kind of work environment that we have. Do we have a high overhead in engineering, or do we have a industry standard closer performance? That's all I'm getting.
Yeah, we're short staffed. We're short staffed and run lean. So we're right now, hopefully we get some more staff. But
appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Ralph.
Hello again. A couple things to address Director Thomas's 8 to 9 bidders. Well, it's that time of year where contractors start booking jobs, and they get very aggressive. So they get some projects on the books. This is where you get your low and competitive bidding. My concern is, who was this consulting engineer that dropped the ball with $1.5 to $2 million of work on your engineer's estimate? I mean, that is completely unacceptable, because that goes down all the way down to the material supplier, which I was for 35 years. You have guys trying to have you lower your price, cut into your margin, and so forth, so they can meet this project estimate. And then when all of a sudden we find out, well, it was $1.5 to $2 million off because they forgot this, they forgot that. My gosh, that is, I would be incensed. I don't know why you guys aren't a little more upset about that.
Yeah, so real quick, we were concerned about it, and we've addressed that issue in the process. So but we're comfortable with the bids, and we're comfortable with the design, and I think we've corrected for that issue.
Oh, I get that. I get that. I just, how and why, and will it happen again?
No, I think we've addressed it, so it won't happen again.
Okay, and who are the engineers? The consulting engineers?
The design engineering firm is Blackwater Engineering.
All right. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, they're the one that left this monies out, or the work out of the project.
There was a portion omitted from the cost estimate. That's right. But we've addressed it with them. They've done a lot of good work for us. And I think we've addressed the issue.
I understand it, and thank you very much.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate Ralph's comments because that jumped off the page at me as well. So when you're talking about a 25-30% increase from the engineer's estimate, Michael, did you say that was because the scope changed and that something was left out of scope at the time?
No, the scope didn't change. There was just a miscalculation in some of the items that were included in the project. So
I see. So this is an aberration. This isn't a common thing for most projects, because most of the projects tend to be, I understand of 10 or maybe even 15%, escalation, but when you're talking about 25-30%, that's, to Ralph's point, pretty significant.
we've had some come in much with a much bigger difference than that, with no error at all in the engineer's estimate, just the cost increases. At an even bigger percentage. But in this case, it was, an error in the cost estimate. But like I said, we're comfortable with the design and with the low bid. And I think we've addressed that issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, anybody else? Okay, so, you wanna send this to the full board for tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So done?
Yeah.
Right? We have to vote?
Mike
We
is-
don't have to, I think we just say yes.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. You see, is Michael still under? Or? All right, where are we at? Hey, C-Tank transmission line project update.
If I could jump in here for one question that I had neglected to ask before. There's a line item on this past agenda item that talked about a temporary tank that was going to cost $22,950 for temporary use, but we're tearing down a $2 million gallon tank. Couldn't that 2 million gallon tank be left in place until they?
No, the roof is in really bad shape and it's snow country. We don't want it to fall down on us.
Oh, okay. That's all I need. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, Corey.
Okay, so we've talked about this C transmission a few times before, but now we're kind of getting into the construction, and there's a lot of kind of interest in the community. So we wanted to kind of give an update on the project. So and kind of an overview first. So the project constructs 12,000 linear feet of 20-inch ductile iron pipe. The pipeline's a direct dedicated transmission line from the water treatment plant to C-Tank. So it eliminates the double pumping configuration that we have now at B-Tank that is undersized. It improves the ability to meet the current peak day demand and also provide water in emergency conditions, fire flow. We're installing 3 high head booster pumps at the water treatment plant. We were just out there this morning with the contractor, kind of going over the sequencing of how that is all going to work with the temporary power, because we have to put in some new MCC units for the new pumps. So the existing ones have to be run off of temporary power during the construction. So kind of they're working, they've laid some pipe coming out of our treatment plant, going out towards Little John Road, and then they'll jump up to the top of the hill by the C-Tank transmission line and come down the hill through the cross-country section towards Little John. And then they'll start the detours and road closures on Little John, starting at the far end by Kiva, working their way towards Saddle Creek. So the contractor installed a temporary bypass up at C-Tank site. And this will allow, the original plan was we would have had to like have 4 water outages that would have put almost everybody in Copperopolis on low pressure during that time. And we'd have to run our pumps against a deadhead. So the contractor came up with an idea. We did a 50-50 cost share on doing a temporary bypass up at the tanks so that we didn't put anybody out of water during the whole project. And so we think that's a lot better solution, and we're really glad that Mozingo suggested that. And then we're also looking at one other scope that wasn't in the original project. The existing buildings at B and C tank, there's these wooden buildings, and the siding, the roof is in really bad condition. So we were going to have them replace the siding and get those buildings for the last few more years. So that's kind of the project and update. And so you'll be seeing, we're updating our website kind of with a 3-week schedule that shows where the contractor is going to be working at. They also have message board signs out there. They're kind of long range dates on the message board signs, but they'll be in and out of the area doing kind of the preparatory work, saw cutting, that type of stuff before they do the full road closures.
No. Thank you, Kevin.
Does this need to go before the board as well tomorrow? Or?
No, this is just an update on the project.
All right, thank you.
Question online.
Go ahead, Francisco.
Kev, what's the impact of this particular project going to be on your infrastructure leakage index out there?
Well, this is a new ductile iron pipe compared to our old pipe going, I think it's old steel line going to the B tank. And then I think it'll definitely help. It will definitely help with water quality. That's the main thing that it helps with, because we have a lot of water quality issues. We'll be able to use less chlorine in the water because of the configuration we're going with. So you'll have less risk of disinfection byproducts, newer water in your system.
What's the age of what you see?
I think it's from like the 70s, I would think. I think so. That's so this is a ductile iron pipe with fully restrained joints. It's a dedicated transmission line. So the problem we have right now, we can't push more water than we are in the line from B to C tank. We already have the fire flow pumps running to meet daily demand, ones that were initially intended to be fire flow pumps. But yeah, it'll eliminate the pressure fluctuations in the system that people see along the ridge between B and C tank. And then because it's dedicated transmission line, we don't have to worry about pressures. We get water there as quick as it can pump.
So if I understand correctly, with the pressure and leak relationship, if you're going to be reducing pressures, you should be reducing leaks along that system with the new transmission line, correct?
Yeah, it should definitely help with that. I mean, anytime you can reduce pressure or pressure fluctuations, that's what causes a lot of the line breaks and causes service line ruptures and that type of stuff. So, and also the leaks inside people's houses, they have a more constant pressure. They have a less likelihood of leaks.
Well, the reason for my question is I understand that we have some challenges in reducing our leakage out there in Copper, as well as Jenny Lind and as well as Arnold. We're a long ways from the 20 or so gallons per connection per day. And I don't see any plans that address those specific challenges directly in any of the CIP projects that we've reviewed thus far. And we might get to see next week or so, but I thought I'd ask on this one if there's any impact on those specific outcomes.
Yeah, I think there's definitely helps with that. We're doing a lot of service line replacements. We have a crew that's dedicated to that. I think that really helps with the leaks. And then also the stuff we're doing, the A to B transmission line, reducing the pressures in the system. That'll definitely reduce the leaks in the system. So I think a lot of the projects we're doing, these tank replacements. We just replaced the Redwood tank at B tank, and that thing was leaking like crazy. So most of the projects we do definitely have a component to reduce leaks.
Yeah, I just don't see any numerical tracking is the reason I asked. Is there something that I can look at besides the state reports to show us the progress, or is there something you guys can publish?
As far as leaks, we just did our leak audit, and so that's been being reviewed. And I think there's still a lot of work to do. So, and a lot of it could be, we're looking at getting more monitoring equipment out in the field. We just got 60 PRV flow monitors with grant money, about $600,000 worth of PRV flow monitors. And that'll help us with the AMI grant money that we had left over. That'll help us isolate where the system's leaking, because we can put these flow monitors out in the system. And so we know how much water is flowing through the main, and then we can see how much is flowing out the meters, and we can isolate the leak. So there's a lot of work happening in that. There's a lot of AI tools that we can utilize. They just come at an expense. We're also working the hydraulic model in Arnold. That's going to help us identify where these improvements need to be for the leaks. So there's a lot of work in progress that we're doing to try to identify these problems that you're talking about.
Yeah, Damon mentioned that at some point he was going to establish some sort of districts to be able to monitor zones better, to understand the leakage patterns that you're describing. It would be great if we could show some progress on that, because we're focusing on non-revenue water losses and the ILI and the INI as some of the key drivers of measures of improvement for the district.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, where are we at? Else up there? Any other public comment? Okay, are we on F? Arnold Secondary Clarifier Report? Project update?
All right, so we had a bid opening that took place December 16th, 2025, and received a low bid from KW Emerson. Just as a reminder, for this project, it is centered around the replacement of the secondary clarifier. It's a clarifier that's been in continuous operation for over 40 years. It's been very difficult to make wholesale improvements to it. We've only been able to make minor improvements over a few hour shutdowns. So this project builds on well, it tends to replace not replace, install a second clarifier, as well as install new motor control centers, controls, flow splitting structures, return activated sludge and waste activated sludge pump stations, 2 new additional aerobic digesters with submersible self-aspirating aerators. So it's a pretty hefty project as far as individual elements. What's nice about this project is we did receive 9 bids. You will note that we had 4 that came in under the engineer's estimate, with KW Emerson the lowest of $7,665. This is a project that will be funded from a USDA 40-year loan. I am currently working with USDA trying to receive concurrence from them to give us the green light to award the contract to KW Emerson. So we can't formally request going to the board yet until we have that concurrence. But I'm hoping to receive that in the coming days, and certainly before the January 2028 board meeting, which when it comes to recommendations, I am recommending that we put this on the January 28th agenda with the understanding that we're likely to have concurrence from USDA by then.
Okay,
Seems prudent.
so are you requesting that we make a
If
recommendation?
there's any questions or anything, but if you have no questions, then we can keep moving forward with awarding the contract to KBD at the next agenda board meeting.
Should we have a conversation with the engineer's estimate that he estimated far too low or too high on this one? So,
Well, I'm not sure it was a high, actually. I think it was competitive. I think you have a market that's very competitive and is trying to get a job. So if we have 8.5, you think it actually places it right in the middle.
it's interesting that one was a million and some change too low, and this one's a million and some change too high. So it evens out.
Evens out.
All right,
Just real quick, I gotta mention kudos to the engineering team on this one. It's been a long time coming. There's been several delays at different points in the process for this project. Our operators too deserve a lot of credit for keeping this thing going as long as they have. Because of those delays, we had wanted to put this out to bid a couple years ago even, and we put it on hold to see if we could find grant funds. This was the most competitive financing package we could get for this project. It wasn't eligible for grants. And just a lot of perseverance on the treatment plant operators, keeping this going, and then on the engineering team for bringing this financing through, jumping through all the USDA hoops and finally getting this thing out to bid. It's a big milestone for us. So it's a great project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there going to be a total amount of projects when we're done here today?
Yeah.
We're gonna have some
A lot
busy
going on.
people, I'll tell you. Oh, we're okay. Ralph?
Hello again. I'd just like to congratulate the engineering group on a good package for the Arnold project. And aside from the remark regarding the engineer's estimate, this is what it's supposed to look like when the contractors, suppliers, and so forth are supplied a fair engineer's estimate. But again, kudos to the engineering department for putting together a very competitive and very good package. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to 4G developer deposit update.
Good afternoon, directors. Sam Singh, Engineering Tech. Today's topic is the discussion of the development, design check, and inspection fees. At the last committee meeting, we brought front the concept review application process. One of the bigger components was that is fixing the flow of how that information or the application process is sorted out through the engineering from the beginning to end. Also, one other component to that was the development fee component. So given the direction from the committee members at that time, how to approach that, we kind of looked at the previous examples of what the cost numbers were and what our similar size project costs have been done by the district itself and also any of the similar developer projects that we've worked with. And so based off of that, we were able to put together a cost estimate that can fulfill and should be helpful for the district and should be a fair fee estimate for the developers who are trying to get the projects reviewed and approved by the district and bring them to construction. So if on the second page of the agenda, basically there's a tiered project based off the cost estimates from the $0 to $10+ million with the percentage of the design review fee and the inspection fee as a separate component. When we look at a design review fee, we have the in-house plan check, and also sometimes related to these development projects, there are offsite improvements that are associated with that. That could lead to some sort of generation of CEQA that is usually not covered by the project itself, or some kind of study that might be needed or to be assured for the district to take over or take on that project itself. So those review fees can be used for those cost covering purposes. And by doing that, it kind of helps the district keep the continuity of the project going, and helps the developer to just see those costs covered in form of monthly billing rather than to kind of go back and forth in terms of trying to do this project or get an approval, and keep on going back and forth trying to negotiate on some of these terms. And the inspection fees are basically the costs that our inspection crews that have to be on site. And sometimes it involves the field crews to be there to also conduct some of the connection time for any kind of regulation of the flows going into the new services. And all that time is billed to these projects via the inspection fee program. Combined with all that should give a fair play for the district to charge these developers moving forward. if you guys have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer any.
Just curious about whether you included any developers in these discussions to get feedback about.
No, we didn't get a chance to talk to any of the developers, but we did look at the neighboring similar agencies that water and sewer agencies, and they do similar kind of a tier structure, and also they bill on the hourly basis. That hourly rate is billed towards the fee that is collected upfront. In our case, what we have proposed is any of the fees that are left over are usually billed or they're debited back to the developer at the end of the project.
So you have confidence that we adopt these fees, that we won't be significantly higher than adjacent.
So if we are, the proposal for that is the more data we collect, that will be helpful in the future to kind of narrow down as to if those fees are higher, then we can bring back to the committee and try to adjust those for the years.
So how will that review take place?
So the review will be based off of the similar projects moving forward. If the billing is higher, considerably higher, then we will project those costs back to the engineering committee, and based off our findings, you guys can make the decision on that.
Okay, that's a question.
Okay. The public comment? Ralph?
Hello again. Gosh, I was wondering if you could include the old fee schedule, because reading the presentation here, you haven't done any adjustments for about 2 decades. That's 20 years. So I'm a little confused why Russ is questioning bringing money into CCWD, and especially when this review included our neighboring counties and what their requests are. I would just, if you could include the old fee structure when presenting this to the board, and I would emphasize that this is the first time in 20 years that we've made a change. It'd be nice to see developers get in line with us ratepayers with specific increases from CCWD. Thank you very much.
Yeah, currently we have a $5,000 deposit, which is way outdated. Like, so we get $5,000 and then that lasts you a week. And you have to ask for more money in it. They're kind of billing after the fact.
But they're still paying full freight. We
still
understand. This is not a profit-driven organization. All we can charge is what it costs us. We understand. All right, we'll move on. 4H, big trees,
So
1 and 4 grant update.
this item was asking for us to recommend. For these.
Okay, so let's recommend it.
Yeah, we're recommending it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So this is an update on the hazard mitigation grant application that the district is pursuing for Big Trees Tank 1 and 4 pump station. Big Trees, as you guys are aware, is the northernmost subdivision in the district, at least in the Ebbets Pass water service area. And we've done some of the major improvements pertaining to the water mains, water transmission lines, and some of the hardening process by replacing some of the redwood tanks for the steel glass line tanks. During that process, the only component that's left exposed is the pump stations at some of these far sites that are still in the forested areas or densely populated areas. And so that leaves them exposed to wildfire hazard. And being that the electrical components are exposed to the nature, if we were ever to get a fire, that we could be potentially out of water service for elongated times. And in order to curb that, we have had this project to build new pump stations at Big Trees Tank 1 and Tank 4 site. But they've been on the CIP, then this grant opportunity came along, and staff decided to kind of pursue it. And so we filed an application with FEMA, and they felt confident that this could be a good contender for that. And so when we filed with them, just like any other FEMA process or FEMA application, the cost share would be 75-25, 75% covered by the FEMA grant, and 25% of the project cost will be covered by the district. So in that process, we've done the CEQA work, environmental related to this project. We proposed the scope of the project, where the existing footprint of the pump stations will be used to put in a masonry building, which would be resistant to the fire hazard, and the electrical components and the pumps will be housed in that masonry building. And the projected cost for this project is about $3.75 million, and it should be covered by FEMA to 75% of the extent. When looking at this project, we filled out the application. The FEMA staff, at least the Cal OES staff, they feel confident with the benefit cost analysis that was submitted to them, that this seems to be a good contender, and we should be looking forward to the response to this. Any questions? Is there anything else you want to add to that, Kevin?
No, I think this FEMA Cal OES grant has been, we have 3 or 4 projects right now under it. Been really successful at it. Fortunately, it's going away soon. We're trying to get in this last grant opportunity they have. So I think this was we didn't have a lot of time to put this together. In fact, we originally had Sheep Ranch and Timber Trails as part of this grant, along with these 2 other pump stations. And through discussions with Cal OES, they worked really well with us to try to find a project that fits the grant more closely. And so unfortunately, we weren't able to include those other 2 pump stations. But I think this has a lot more likelihood of being successful. The BCA, which is the number that they rate the project on, is really high compared to a lot of projects we've got in the past that had lower BCAs.
It says that you have already applied for the grant.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right, any questions? Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to where are we? Right?
Right.
Copper Cove Dam raise cost update.
So our consultant was going to join us for this one because we have a little bit of a change from what we had in the agenda package. But I can run through it. We moved through a little bit faster than I thought we were, because I think we eliminated an item or 2. Yeah. So would you be able to pull up the sheet? So the Copper Cove Dam raise, this is the Army Corps of Engineers Section 219 WRDA project that's been in the works for a few years now. The scope of the project that we have in the letter report that's in the process of being approved by U.S. Army Corps. They've just been really slow with everything. The process, everything that says 2 weeks takes 2 months, so or 2 years. But so the original project scope was the tertiary treatment upgrades and the Pond 6 enlargement in the dam raise. So the kind of updated cost estimates show substantial escalation in the dam cost, and then also the additional cost from the Army Corps of Engineers to kind of manage the project is going up. So We currently have 13.28 million and we're working on another 3.1 million. So we want to kind of pivot this project. And kind of the letter report gives us kind of the opportunity to either do the tertiary or the dam raise first. So with the dam raise, there's a lot of environmental, a lot of upfront costs that we need to spend. You'll see that in your agenda item. I think it was $1.1 million to get us close to being ready to build the dam. And that's just add our $4 million of in-kind contributions. And there's a lot of risk and exposure in this project, dealing with the federal government and all the environmental permits and that type of stuff. So we're kind of having some internal discussions, and we feel like we can kind of pivot the project and do the tertiary treatment upgrades first, because the dam raises out. The earliest that they got on their schedule will be 2028, and it'll likely be past that time. And we're unsure of what the escalations and the cost increase will be by then. So we think the best course of action would be to do the tertiary first. So kind of the risk of not doing the tertiary first, we could have incomplete construction. So if we get to the point where the Army Corps would administer the construction contract, do the inspection, do the project management, we have little or no control over their spending on that part of the project. So we'd be at their risk. And if they go over the 13.28 million and we don't secure any more funds from the federal government, we have to cancel the project at bid because we don't have enough funds, or we'd have to wait, and then it could keep escalating as we wait for more funds. So we think we can complete the tertiary treatment improvements with the money we have, and then wait to get the rest of the money to build the dam. Or we could look at, we have an MPDS permit, which allows us to discharge into Little John Creek. So we kind of rework how we, with the upgraded staff and the upgraded filters, we kind of work how we operate that plant. We could look at, instead of raising the dam for wintertime storage, we could look at maybe doing some wintertime discharge into Little John Creek. So yeah, so that would be, we could also, you know, if the dam raise, more money comes along, we could always go back to the dam raise, and that would provide more recycled water to the golf course because it would be less discharge. Right now, we're supplementing the golf course with raw water that they're paying for. So kind of the near term. So maybe we kind of go through this here. So the project components, the filter and the staff, we're still doing that. That's being done by our crews. We had a meeting this last week to kind of go over the material orders for the underground piping, the existing filter and replacement. So we came to your board not too long ago to do a rehab project on the existing wastewater filters. So we could forego doing that portion of the work that ERS is currently under contract for. Because if we accelerate the sand filter replacement, we might not need to do that as quickly. There might be some work that we have to do there as far as replacing the media, but the cost is not really nearly as much. The Pond 6 enlargement and utility relocation. So we have a contract with Wagner and Bonsignor to do the design. So we would no longer need to do that, or we could postpone that. You go scroll up a little bit. Oh, regulatory evaluation. So there's when you discharge at the golf course, it goes to the wetlands area on its way to Little John Creek. So that's not included in the proposal, but we would need to evaluate the environmental impacts of putting more water through that wetlands. I think we can deal with the permit we have now, but it's something that needs to be looked at. A water balance analysis is something that's really important. So this tells us how much water we'd have to leave the project. So the water balance we had previously have assumed we had to keep all the water for irrigation, and then there was a little bit of excess that was emergency in a 100-year storm that had to be discharged. So there's discharging permit requirements, the nitrogen limits in the effluent that discharges into Little John Creek are a little bit challenging, but we think the existing system right now, so it filters the effluent out of the pond, the treated effluent out of the pond, and sends it to the golf course. But then the backwash that comes out of the filter goes right back into the pond. So it's this never-ending cycle of backwash back into the pond that's supposed to be a finishing pond. So the staff is going to extract all that algae and all other contaminants, or a lot of the contaminants, out of the water before it gets in the filter. So the backwash will be very limited. It'll be really clean in comparison. So we won't have that endless cycle of basically like discharging back into your pond that you have to keep retreating in this cycle. So over time, we think that nitrogen level could go down. The quality of the water is going to go down. Improve. And then we may have to look at some other kind of, depending on what our nitrogen limits end up being, there might be some other work that needs to get done. So there'd be some limited Pond 6 utility upgrades for the tertiary pond. So you have to, there are some pumps at the base of the pond. They're kind of limiting constraint right now because they only pump like 800,000 gallons a day, our filters are good for 1 million gallons. So we might want to upgrade those still so we get the maximum out, and then upgrade them for future expansion of 2 million gallons a day. So this approach avoids partial construction of the dam facility, maintains compliance, and stabilizes, maintains compliance, but also doesn't put us at risk of going down the route of we might have enough money to finish this project, but we don't know for sure. And then it also allows us to get going on this project a lot sooner because the environmental is already complete for the tertiary, and we're at 90% with the tertiary treatment plant design. And if we do get more funding, the dam raise could end up happening the same time or nearly the same time as scheduled for now.
And I just want to clarify, this isn't necessarily a big departure for us. This has always been part of the package. In fact, when we renegotiated the letter report that we have in the project partnership agreement we have with the Army Corps a year ago, we were hoping it would have been done a year ago. And we finally got a approved version that we signed a month ago, and we're still waiting for their signature, but we're expecting that anytime. But that's just an example of what Kevin was talking about, the delays that we've seen in this project all along. And so as those circumstances have changed, we've reevaluated sequencing and prioritization, but this was always a part of the project, and we don't even need to renegotiate the letter report again, which we don't want to have to do. This was already in there. And I think, the Army Corps will understand, that we may be resequencing and pursuing additional funds, but this was always a part of the package. And the funds are more and more competitive. We received an increase in the total authorized amount in the Water Resources Development Act last year, but we didn't get it appropriated in the federal budget, and it may be hard to do that going forward. And so we're just not sure that we'll receive that additional increment or any future increment after that. And so we're trying to just prioritize and maximize the use of the funds that we have right now with, some uncertainty about costs going forward. And this will help address a huge part of the issue there, and I think set us up for success going forward.
So in your addenda, in the package, we have the cost of 1.14 million. That includes the environmental for the dam raise. So what we'd be bringing back to the board for approval, if this engineering committee agrees, would be the roughly $560,000. That would get us the low-level project manager, be a lot of in-house work, finish the project design, and engineering service during construction for the hydroscience to support us during the construction. And that'd be all in-kind contributions. It would go towards our $4 million of in-kind contributions that we're required to pay.
I have a couple of questions for you, Kevin. This, of course, is in my division, and I've looked at it pretty closely particularly on the dam raise aspect of it. And if my memory serves me correctly, one of the components of the dam raise was to scour out the existing footprint of the water impound area. What would prevent us from instead of raising the dam, just simply do that part? It wouldn't, I'm just thinking out of the box here that we could hire somebody locally with a D9 and a carryall and just scour it out. And we've got a lot of acreage there. Would it be beneficial at all to consider increasing the holding capacity of the dam area without raising the dam?
Yeah, I think that is something that could be looked at. The plans that we have for the dam raise were from 2009, and they were making some modifications. On the one side, we were going to build an inside fill instead of an outside fill because we didn't have the property for the water line that had to go through there. But as far as this Army Corps, so they have to administer every construction contract. So if we went that route with the 219 funds, they would have to go through the full environmental review for the federal government. They'd have to advertise the project as a federally contracted project and administer the construction contract. So we wouldn't have the ability to hire a local contractor. These federal contracts are bid on by the big name contractors like the Kiewitz and those type of people that come in and they do federal contracting. Some of our local contractors might do federal contracting, but as far as hiring somebody with a D9, putting out a local advertisement, it would have to go through the whole federal government process. So definitely something we could look at as far as if we only have a limited amount of money once the tertiary is done, to have them release a construction contract to expand that. But I think that I wasn't really involved in this discussion, but I remember asking Charles about that, and it didn't seem like it was really increase the capacity to the level we needed to do that. But that's definitely, when you look at the topography out there, it looks like it could be done to me, but I've never done like a survey of the property to see if we could gain adequate capacity through just digging out. There's some, over the years, like I said, the backwash and stuff that's gone through there. So the plan is, especially pond 4, which is the pond that comes before 6. This is the kind of final treatment, and then this is supposed to be the finishing pond. This is supposed to be like treated secondary effluent. And I think in the past, before we had the reclamation plan, we used to send it off from that level. But as far as the idea is to stir up some of the solids in there somehow, and then it can run through our staff unit, and our staff unit can extract all the solids out of the liquids that come through. So I think that's an option, is to try to clean up the ponds we have, get the sediment out of there that's through this new system that we got. It'll be trial and error. But yeah, I think that looking at getting more creative on how we do this out of dam raise is definitely, sounds like a great idea to me. So.
Okay, the other thing that concerns me is, as you recall, gosh, it's been almost a year and a half or 2 years ago, we were out there with the property owner, Mr. Brunker, and discussing the borrow that we would get the source of our material for the dam raise would be from his nearby property. Are we going to communicate with him that this is not on the immediate horizon?
Yeah, so we, yes, once it's finalized and we get it all dialed in, we'll have to talk to him that we're still like at best 3 years out if we do it, but it likely would not happen. The idea, we kind of paused that effort because we need to do soil testing and that type of stuff, and we didn't have authorization from the government to be reimbursed for that cost. So until this letter report is, we kind of paused all the geotech. So we don't know for sure if that soil meets the requirements. We're assuming it does because the existing dam was built out of it. But the idea is that we go out there and do test holes when we met. But that's when we thought the previous guy at the Army Corps, Mark, that just retired about a year ago, he told us we were like 3 months out from getting the letter report, and we had changeover and policy changes and stuff. So it's been a 1-year delay on the Army Corps getting us that information. So, yeah, we need to get out there and test that material. But yes, we should definitely, I can definitely reach out to him and tell him we're on pause right now with the project, and we're going a different route for now. And we'll keep you posted.
Well, I thought that we did have geotech people out there taking samples.
No, we're not authorized. It's like a $40,000 bill or something to do, because the testing is really detailed. You have to do it for the dam. They want a whole profile in the soil, and to do that whole profile is about $40,000. And without the letter report, we can't use that money for our in-kind contribution because it wasn't detailed as part of the project that we had approval for. So if we did that, then that $40,000 wouldn't go towards our $4 million in-kind contribution.
Maybe NCPA could haul that stuff out of McKay's now.
All right. Good with that?
We're supposed to provide some direction.
I concur.
And then it looks like Bill from Hydroscience just logged on. Bill, I think we just kind of finished the item. So thank you for logging on.
Sure. Sorry, I couldn't make it on
He had a
earlier.
prior commitment till 3:30, so we already knew that.
All the questions were answered.
I think so.
We could start over if you want, Bill.
It's up to you. I'm at your disposal.
We'll pass on that. Thank you. All right, where are we at now?
Looks like Bill's on the coast.
So we'll provide direction.
Yeah.
This has to go to the board.
Yeah, to bring the roughly $560,000 PSA to the board for approval.
Okay. So granted. All right, are we on the old business now? Project updates?
Directors. My name is Juan. I'm in the engineering department, and I'll be presenting the CIP update and give everybody a chance to ask any questions. So we're going to start with Jenny Lane Edovie transmission line. The main line is in the ground, finally. The 14-inch and the 12-inch, everything, all the ductile is in the ground. Right now, that picture to the left is the crews doing the tightening at the B tank. So seems like one more time we run into rock there at the base. So
Juan, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but did you want to do public comment for that last item? I see there is a hand up.
Sorry about that,
Juan.
no,
Ralph.
go ahead.
Ralph, do you have public comment on the item before? I didn't pay attention.
You're muted, Ralph.
I'm sorry, this is for 5A. I jumped the gun. I'll wait till he's done.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Like I was saying, the mainline installation is complete. It also has been pressure tested and disinfected. So the contractors are probably finishing the B tank connection at this point. Yeah, finishing. And they're going to start doing the PRV tight ends. We have 5 pressure reducing valves through the system. And so as soon as that's done and the main line is online, we're going to start doing the service lines, and following is going to be the paving.
We still on schedule for what? Did we say April, May, something like that?
Yes. This is going to be the Clearwell and B tank projects at the Copper Cove. B tank on the left had the year inspection after completion, and there was some corrosion rust built up on the upper above the water tank. I'm sorry, about the water level. So with that said, they're gonna Crossnose is gonna drain the tank, recoat it, and complete the inspection. So On the right, the new clear well passed with no issues, the year inspections. The following tanks are going to be inspected at their year mark. Any questions? Now, I believe this item is going to be brought up to the main board, but this is the West Point is completed. The contractor is finishing the punch list items and cleanup. So our district staff are finishing the grant closeout requirements and anything. Oh yeah, something it's very important that this project was 100% funded by the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. So I believe staff. The questions? No. And as Kevin mentioned, this is the Copper Cove wastewater treatment plant, the SAF, and the pond race. So I included some pictures where the new SAF is going to be located. That's next to the, there's a filter, the Trident filter, right there under the canopy. The SAF filter is going to be in a skid, so they just, our district staff is going to do construction, pouring concrete and piping for the new SAF. Questions?
I'll let you know.
Thank you. This is the West Point Drop project. At this point, the phase 1 submittals have been forwarded to Cal OES. So that one includes the 60% design, environmental documentation, and permitting. Cal OES has completed its reviews and has forwarded to FEMA. Now, based on previous experiences, it seems like it's going to be 12 to 18 months before we get authorized for construction. Lake Tulloch Intertie. So this project is 100% completed, the design. We have forwarded the preliminary encroachment permit to the county, and they provided some feedback. Right now, they're incorporating the feedback into the 100% designs. It's anticipated that this is going to go for bidding in spring, in a few months. Huckleberry Lift Station. This is another project that is 100% design. Now it also has clear CEQA, and we're just waiting for construction funding. Hopefully, it's going to be through the oncoming grant opportunities. La Contenta wastewater treatment plant improvements. This is going to be the phase 3 improvements for this water plant. At this point, it's hard to see, but on the right picture, there's an outline of this yellow lines, and E Corp Environmental is doing the studies, so we can complete the 100% designs for the project. At this point, we have 90%. We are 90% designs. We're just waiting for the environmental to be clear, so we can finish the design. And similar with the Huckleberry, we hoping that it's going to be funded by grants in the near future. And this Eves Pass master plan and hydraulic model. This is almost completed. We just waiting on some SCADA and infrastructure information. And we expect maybe in a couple of weeks to get the draft report for the master plan. This is the Arnold Sewer master plan. So Verdantes and district staff have developing a flow monitoring plan. And this is going to help us figure out more capacity for the lift stations, and more especially like I&I issues that we might be having. These efforts are going to probably be starting in a month from now, like mid-February. So probably going to be 6 to 8 locations for flow monitoring. Yes. That covers our CIP.
Thank you. Anything?
You mentioned at the onset that you had tested the, all the ductile iron piping on the Jenny Land AB water transmission pipeline.
Yes, sir.
And we had several comments about asking questions about leakage. Did we, when we pressure tested that, is there any, like a maximum level of leak that is acceptable or?
Yes, yes. So the stretches of pipe that we test is some roughly around at 1,000 and
Law tested one time is 2,000 feet, and they're only allowed a maximum pressure drop of 3 PSI in a 2-hour period. So really, honestly, no leakage is acceptable on jobs.
That 2,000 linear feet of piping, and that was a 12-inch pipe that went in there?
12 and 14.
Okay. 2 PSI drop, I mean, that you might get that if you lost 5 gallons of water.
Not even that. So it's pretty well tight.
Okay. You hear that, Francisco? We're making progress.
Anything else? Anybody public? Val?
Thanks, Juan.
Thank you.
And good afternoon again. To the Jenny Lind A and B transmission main. By the way, AWWA addresses acceptable losses with a new installation. Anyway, you mentioned service crews will begin service line installations. Is that DA Wood or will it be CCWD? And do you have a guesstimate how many service lines will be replaced or meters reconnected? Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Ralph. Yeah, I guess we start backwards with you answering this question. So it's going to be around 210 connections that the DA Woods is going to be replacing. Unfortunately, we cannot just let the contractor do just the replacement. It takes a lot of coordination with the district regarding tank levels and pressures and closures and you name it, pressure differentials through the system. So it's a combined effort, I will say. So, but the labor itself is going to be completed by DA Woods.
Oh, very good. Well, 210 connections. That's pretty good. You hear that, Francisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I appreciate that information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, General Manager.
I will reserve comments till tomorrow.
Become Employee of the Month. You have any comments, Director?
No.
All right, I have no comments. The next committee meeting will be March 3rd. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
You powered through that faster than I thought.
Good.